Hello there and welcome back to another video on Echoes of the Workshop. My name is James, and in this video I'm going to be showing you 3 simple builds you can make out of trash which will make your tabletop battlefields look awesome. So if that sounds like something you'd want to watch, stick around and yeah, let's get to work. Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider leaving the video a like, and why not subscribe to the channel to see what I've got coming next. So, first things first, we're going to go classic. Every battlefield, every terrain collection needs some hills. And there's lots of ways you can go about making hills for your tabletop battles. I've actually already done a video about using XPS foam, so we're going to go even more budget this time. We're going to be using this cardboard box. This I actually got from work. This is pretty thick corrugated cardboard, as you can see here on the side, and what I'm going to do is just hack it to pieces, get a bunch of sheets, and yeah, this is what it looks like. So we've got our pile of stuff, and what I'm going to do is grab some wood glue, and I'm going to basically make a giant stack of them. My preferred adhesive for doing this is wood glue. I've got this quick drying wood glue here from the hardware store, but if you've got a hot glue gun, that would work just as well. PVA will work, but it has a much longer drying and curing time, so I prefer to just get things done quick. So here we go, here's a sped up section of me just gluing and stacking. So it helps to have some kind of a plan when you're doing builds like this, but you know, you can just make things up as you go along, as you say. So once that's all done, I put something heavy on the top to weigh it down and make sure it dried solid. So there you go, there's my saxophone. That'll please my parents. Many years of paying for music lessons are clearly not gone to waste here. So that's all dry. What I'm doing now is just grabbing a pencil, and I'm just drawing a rough shape of what I want, sort of what I want the hill to look like. I'm going to do like a roundish sort of section here. Going to make a similarly looking edge on the side here, sort of have a similar sort of curvature. I considered doing like a sort of 2 raised sections with a sort of a valley sort of thing in the middle, but I decided against it. Then just grab yourself a sharp box cutter and start hacking. Could I have made this easier on myself by individually measuring and stacking and cutting? Yes, probably, but you know, this works too. So rather than show you going through this process, because it took me quite a while to do, I'm gonna be back in a moment with what the piece looks like. So as you can see, just always cut away from yourself. Just go through there at an angle so you have a realistic looking slope. So as you can see, I've cut off quite a lot of material, but this is the sort of look we've got. Now, you can very clearly see there's quite a lot of gapping on the edges, so that's going to need to be filled. Couple of options for doing this. Sculpt-to-Mold is a well-known product among the terrain building community. I myself like to use sort of, I guess, Polyfiller is a brand name for it. Just essentially it's a powder, a spackle in America. Just a dry powder. You mix it with water. It makes up a spreadable filler. It's for filling holes in walls. So I make this a nice spreadable consistency, and it goes in all of these gaps and gives us a consistent, smooth base. So on it goes. Momentary zoom there, apologies. Technical difficulties. So you get the general idea. Just get all this in all of these gaps until you have a smooth surface to work on. I'm going to do a quick cut here, and you can see what the final piece looks like after it's dried. So you can see, all covered up, loads of texture. Let's make it look awesome. So, seal it in. We're going to go with the classic acrylic paint, PVA glue, and a little water to thin it down, and that goes all over the base. I'm doing this brown rather than black as I usually do for terrain pieces because there's going to be static grass and other sort of ground textures going on, and if that's not going to have 100% coverage over the piece, and that looking through will look like bare ground. If you painted it black, then it won't look like that. Now this is assuming you want like sort of rolling grasslands and things like that. If you're, say, doing a snow-covered hill, maybe you do some sort of a grey base or a dark blue. But for this one, it's going to be brown. So speed things up. Just get that everywhere. There we go. And I'll just let that dry before moving on to the next step. So once that's all done, what I'm going to do now is figure out what sections I want to have like a rocky look. So just have a bit of variety in the hill, so it's not just grass. Tends to add to the realism. So yeah, I've just got this deep grey acrylic paint. Thin it down a touch, and that's going to go around this bottom edge here, which you can sort of barely see me doing from the top camera. going to go on the front edge as well, and here, this sort of in-between section. Just break things up, adds a bit of interest to the piece. And once you're happy with that, you can move on to the next step. To add a bit of extra realism, add a bit of interest, and bring out the texture that you put on the piece, I'm going to dry brush with a lighter grey, so I just mixed white with the original grey paint. Grab yourself a dry brush, old brush if you don't have a specific miniatures dry brush. Wipe off most of the paint on some paper towel, do a quick test, and run it over the details. Next up, it's textures time. So I'm doing this with PVA glue. I'm just going to do a few sections here, and I'm using the Army Painter's Brown Battleground. I just have some, felt like using it. You could also have a similar effect with just some sort of fairly coarse sand and painting it brown, but had the product, felt like using it. Yeah, so PVA over the rest of the piece now. Then we're going to go on with some static grass. Now, for the, you can spend as much as you want on static grass. The first two little sachets here was actually from an order I had from Temu a while ago. I know Temu bad, but you know, if you're on a budget, the sort of several packets of static grass will set you back next to nothing. So one for the budget conscious. Got a couple of colours here, sort of a lighter green and sort of like a dead grassy look. So the piece is going to have quite a bit of variety in it. So I think we're all good, and on it goes. Obviously, wherever there's no glue, it won't stick. What I've also done is apply sort of patches of glue over the rocky bits, so they sort of simulate grass growing out of the rocks there. So that's the bright green. Here's the dead grassy look. Just mix it up, let it fully dry, then invert it and knock the unused grass into a container so you can use for another project. Here's how it looks. One thing I forgot to mention, use some sort of matte sealant on this. You can buy spray bottles of matte sealant, or you can mix up 1 part PVA or Mod Podge with 3 parts water and a couple of squirts of washing up liquid and spray it over the top, and it will seal all that grass in place. So if you're liking the video so far, let's see that like number go up. Please help me get onto the YouTube algorithm and grow my tiny channel into a slightly larger tiny channel. So, build number 2. We're going to use the end piece of the same box we used for the first build, and we're going to do the next most common thing seen on battlefields, a ruined wall section. You can make ruined walls out of all sorts of stuff. Just gonna show you here that it's perfectly doable with cardboard as well as foam board or XPS or whatever else. So what I'm doing here is just forming out a rough plan, rough sort of shape of what I want this to look like. It's going to be like that, and then I'm going to, using a metal ruler, cut this in half so we have a nice clean straight edges. Trim the bottom and cut through the middle. There we are. Just dry fitting how that's going to look. Yeah, happy with that. Cool. Right, so now this will need a base. I'm going to use, I tell a lie, it does need a base, but I've also put a platform for a sneaky sniper to stand on. Using the same cardboard, just cut a section off. What I'm doing here is I'm basically dry fitting onto some thinner cardboard I'm going to use for the base. I'm not doing a big base for this, so I'm just doing like a base that goes right underneath it, grabbing some sort of writing instrument. That's going to be cut out, and I'm going to do a double thickness base. As you can see here, I've cut out a smaller L section, just sort of slightly curved the edges, and those are going to get stuck together. And I'm going to make a flat base, or a sort of flat section of this base, by using masking tape. Essentially what that does is makes a smooth gradient from the top base to the lower base. Just spread it across the sections. You can achieve a similar effect with your filler or your spackle or your ground texture. Just showing you more techniques you can use on your builds. Once that's ready, we're gonna glue all the things together. So grab our two wall sections, stick them on, and then our little hiding post as well, our raised section there in the corner. I would recommend, if you're going to do any battle damage to these wall sections, do it before you stick it down. That's not what I've done in this video. Don't be me, be smart. Yeah, so again, this is wood glue. It's quick drying. Just let it fully dry before you do anything else to it. So here's our filler again. It's the same technique as with the hill. Fill all of those gaps in the most important thing is to fill the gaps in the cardboard, but this goes over the whole piece just to make a solid piece. Remember, you're building out of trash, so the more time you put into it, the more effort you put into it, the longer it will last and the better it will look. If you are starting out in the hobby, you're not too sure about things, absolutely just do things as simply as you can. A few cardboard sections is absolutely the way to go. Don't start in the hobby and be like, right, I'm going to make all this wonderful terrain before you even like have a feel for the hobby as a whole. But as time goes on, and as your confidence in the hobby grows, and as your knowledge of the hobby and the games grows, absolutely put some time into your battlefields. It really adds to the immersion and makes the games just that much more fun. And that's what I'm trying to convey with this channel. That's what I'm trying to show with this channel. And I really hope you'll join me on that journey. So once all that filler is on, we let it fully dry before the next step. So once that's all done, it's time to add some interest to our little piece here. The more you put in here, the better the final piece will look. First up, as this is all sort of like current day or futuristic concrete, what you can do to give a sort of like rebar effect is to take some wire. Here I've got some binding wire for the garden. You can also do this with paper clips. Cut yourself off some small sections and stab them into walls at appropriate angles and positions, as I'm doing here. For ground texture, I'm just grabbing a bunch of stuff here. I've got some different textures of sand, some foam board offshoots which I'm going to chop up as rocks, and some gravel I've salvaged from walking the dog. If you're going to do that, don't just grab it from footpath and stick it on your terrain pieces. You must sterilize it first. So in the oven, on an oven tray for about half an hour, let's say 150 degrees, that will kill all the bacteria. You do not want mold growing in your terrain pieces. So on with some PV8, and I'm just going to apply these at sort of seemingly random intervals. Don't make these look too scripted. Try and make it look random. It's supposed to be sort of battlefield detritus. Here I have some mesh from a previous build, sort of That's just going to go all over the place. And then we're going to use a couple of varieties of sand. This is sort of fine sand and sort of like a coarse sand mixed together. Just puts a bit of variety on. And that's how we are looking now. So what I'm going to do here with a pencil is I'm going to essentially stab through some bullet holes just to add a bit more texture and detail and realism. This building has been smashed to pieces. It's highly likely it's been shot a few times as well. Just adds to the look. So next up, it's the classic mix. This time I'm doing it with black paint, PVA, water, prime and seal the whole model. Lovely, thick, gloopy mixture here. So once that is all fully dry, we're going to go in with some colour. So at the base it's just going to be, again, this brown, slightly thinned. That's the same brown I used for the hill. That'll just go all over the ground. Again, this is sort of fairly generic battlefield, sort of ruined battlefield colour here, but you could do this in whatever colour you like. It could be ruins on some sort of alien world, could be a snow planet, you know. I'm just coming at this from a 40k perspective, but if you're doing fantasy ruins for, say, something like Frostgrave, you could chuck some snow on there, and yeah, you can do anything. You can make it look like anything. So that's going on there as well. And for the walls, I'm just going to do concrete grey using the same again, there's a theme here, the same grey paint I used for the rocky sections of the hill build. Just cover all those bits as well. And I like to, when I'm doing this, I like to stipple a bit of this over the brown, just to sort of knock it back a bit, bringing a bit of variety to the ground. So that's coming together nicely. And finally, a bit of metal paint. This is a fairly bright silver acrylic, but that's going to go over all of those grating areas and the rebar sections that we put onto the ruins. Once that was done, I applied an all-over wash. I've done videos on doing this before, but it just sort of ties everything together, and then I'm going to dry brush over the top of the walls. So this is taking that grey, adding some white, and with a dry brush just going over the top, just to bring out that texture, apply a realistic look to the piece. Once that's done, you grab some white and be very gentle with this. Go over all of those bullet holes with a very light stippling with a small dry brush, and also go over the very top with a very light and careful dry brush of white. When you do white, it makes a real big jump, so you have to be careful, but it can do some pretty cool effects. And then we are finished. Here's the final look. So the final piece I want to talk about here is an idea I'm quite proud of. This is actually the first terrain video I ever did on this channel, and I'm kind of considering remaking it with sort of the knowledge I've gained over the last year. So let me know if you'd like to see that. Yeah, so it's shipping containers out of tea boxes. I'm pretty certain this one was actually built with this specific type. So essentially it's taking this, gluing it shut and attaching cardboard strips all around the frame. It's super easy, super cheap, and yeah, let me know if you'd like to see that video remade on the channel. With that, that is 3 pieces of terrain for your battlefields made out of trash. I can almost 100% guarantee you've got in your homes. Here's what the pieces look like. And here's the final result. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Get down in the comments, let me know if you're going to give some of this stuff a go, and likewise let me know what you'd like to see on the channel next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.